Good evening. The Quezon City Prosecutor's Office has dismissed a criminal complaint filed by ACT Party List Representative Franz Castro against former President Rodrigo Duterte. Castro filed a complaint of grave threat under Article 282 of the Revised Penal Code and Section 6 of the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 for the statements Duterte made during a television program at Sunshine Media Network International. The prosecutor junked Castro's complaint because the manner by which Duterte made the statements, quote, do not convincingly establish that he intended them to be taken seriously. In the program aired on October 11 last year, Duterte talked about the confidential fund of his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, and referred to Castro as, quote, one of the communists who I want to kill. According to the QC prosecutor, the fact that Duterte made preliminaries and jokes when he was talking with a program host, quote, only indicates that he is not that serious enough to really execute and materialize the threats allegedly conceived in his mind. It adds that it would be quite unusual for Duterte to make a public pronouncement of death threats if he were serious about actualizing such threats, considering his immunity from criminal prosecution. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation or PhilHealth says members' premium contribution will increase from 4% to 5% this year. According to PhilHealth President and CEO Emmanuel Ledesma Jr., the increase is in accordance with the Universal Healthcare Law. Ledesma explains that the hike is technically implemented from January 1, 2024, since it was not suspended by President Bongbong Marcos.
As provided for in Section 10 of Republic Act 11223, or the Universal Healthcare Act, PhilHealth shall implement the last adjustment of premium contributions, or the 5% contribution rate and income ceiling of 100,000 this year. Wala po kaming nare-receive na message or directive from Malacanang, no? So we are just following the law po. We already administered and implemented the increase po.
The official clarifies that the contribution would still be shared by employees and their employers. Ledesma says the increase will affect those earning 10,000 pesos to 100,000 pesos per month. Monthly contributions will now range from 500 pesos to 5,000 pesos due to the new premium rate, with PhilHealth expecting an additional 17 billion pesos from the hike. According to Ledesma, these funds would be utilized for PhilHealth's plans for 2024. Former Batangas Representative Ralph Recto formally assumes his post on Friday as the new Department of Finance Chief. President Bongbong Marcos administered his oath on palace grounds. Frederick Go was also sworn in as the Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs. Recto replaces former Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno, who said he is leaving the post in a better state than when he found it. According to Marcos, Jokno was meant to retire last year but was asked to stay. Marcos says Jokno was also asked to be a part of the Maharlika Investment Corporation, but he begged off. Jokno will return to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Monetary Board instead. With Recto's appointment, Marcos notes that they are not changing horses midstream, adding that policies and fiscal discipline will remain the same. President Bongbong Marcos declares the Philippines has already recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic and multiple world conflicts. According to Marcos, the Philippines is believed to be one of the fastest-growing Asian countries, referring to reports from the Asian Development Bank, the ASEAN Plus 3 Macroeconomic Research Office, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. Addressing various foreign dignitaries in Malacanang Palace, Marcos says he hoped they could continue to work with the Philippine government to look for areas of cooperation.
It is with confidence that I announce that the Philippines has, I could say, gotten back on its feet from the reeling effect of the pandemic and the subsequent shocks that we suffered from the Ukraine war and now from the conflict in the Middle East. We have since turned the corner and are now back in business, eager to do more with your respective governments and business sectors.
Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong says the number of gastroenteritis cases in the city is now on a downtrend. Magalong says the number of cases peaked on January 7 when the city recorded 430 cases. He notes that the number of cases has been decreasing, with only 43 cases recorded on Thursday, January 11.
The cases are now on the downtrend. The peak was sometime in January 7, where we recorded 430 cases in one day. January 9, we have 244 cases. January 10, we only have 61 cases. And yesterday, we have 43 cases.
Baguio City Health Officer Dr. Celia Flor Brillantes says that as of January 12, 18 out of 62 samples from establishments, households, and institutions had tested positive from total coliform, while 8 tested positive for E. coli. However, Brillantes says results have not determined where the source of contamination is coming from. According to Magalong, the investigation continues and more testing will be conducted in order to determine the source of the contamination.
It appears that our containment and preventive measures are ineffective. To say manner that we're now focusing on the investigation. We're going to conduct more tests, gather more specimens for us to be able to determine the source of this contamination. So things are looking good for the city of Baguio.
The Department of Foreign Affairs hails Germany for its unwavering commitment to uphold international law in light of the tension in the West Philippine Sea. In a statement, DFA says Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo thanked the German Federal Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock for Germany's unflinching support for international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and the 2016 Arbitral Award. According to DFA, the two diplomats met and affirmed their nations' vow to put in place peace, development, and rules-based order. During the meeting, Baerbock had criticized China's risky maneuvers in the West Philippine Sea, saying these moves violated the rights and economic development opportunities for countries in the region. Not long after Baerbock's criticism, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said non-regional countries have no right to interfere in the maritime disputes between China and the Philippines. China's sweeping claim over most of the South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea, has long been debunked by an international tribunal. Despite this, Chinese vessels continue to swarm Philippine waters. Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. Quezon City Prosecutor's Office dismisses a criminal complaint against former President Rodrigo Duterte. PhilHealth announces increase in premium contributions from 4% to 5% this year. And Recto takes oath as Finance Secretary. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.